If you like to make your NFL games a little bit more interesting, you've come to the right place. It's the Even Money Podcast with Ross Tucker and Steve Fezzik.
Yeah, Vegas, baby. Vegas. It is the Even Money Podcast. We're, of course, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. The number one NFL betting podcast in the galaxy. And we, of course, dive into the other sports this time of year. My guy, Steve Fezzik, will have lots of stuff for you today on the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Final, certainly his experience with the World Series of Poker, which is interesting. And every week from now until the NFL season starts, Steve will have an NFL bet or two based on a week, right? So this week, it'll be week 3. So you've come to the right place. Certainly after the NBA, NHL end, we're going to get to a lot of your email questions. You guys did a good job of that this week. Keep them coming. Ross at rosstucker.com. Steve is as knowledgeable as anyone out there in terms of the numbers, the strategies. It is extremely valuable to be able to pick his brain. You can check me out on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. We are at Ross Tucker Pod. We highly encourage you to follow us on social media, and we love when you engage in any way. Certainly, you can subscribe to the show, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Turn your notifications on. YouTube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. A lot of people love seeing Steve's outfits. He alternates between like a collared button-down or a sleeveless black t-shirt. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason whatsoever. Those are the only two things I've ever seen him wear. Maybe a polo shirt every once in a while. Steve, is there a rhyme or reason to this, Steve?
During the summer, if I happen to be working out, I'll bring the guns out. Most of the time, though, I'll cover up and be behind the button-down country club look. Yes.
Nice. That is the voice of the great Steve Fezzik. You can check him out on social media at Fezzik Sports and only at Fezzik Sports. As a reminder, if you ever want to just get in touch with us, not only email me, Ross at rosstucker.com, but we have a private Slack channel that is very popular during the season. Patreon.com/RTmedia. Here's what we got today. NBA Finals bet, NHL Game 6 thoughts, which is tonight, I believe. World Series of Poker. Evidently, Steve was in it until he wasn't. Gonna have a couple NFL bets. Steve won a tournament since we last spoke, which is pretty amazing. And we got your email questions, which is probably my favorite part because I like knowing what questions you guys have. You all kind of have like your own little strategies that you think nobody else has thought of, or maybe that's not the case. Maybe just something that's worked for you, and Steve can tell you the math on them, which is very, very helpful. All right, NBA Finals, Steve. Okay, we'll start there. Last night, OKC won again. That's 2 games in a row. Halliburton does not look to be or appear to be himself. What's the bet now, Steve, for the NBA Finals going into Game 6?
So throughout the NBA playoffs, if you've been betting on the team that lost the previous game, obviously you lost last night with Indiana, but now it sets up great Game 6 for Indiana. Oklahoma City knows they go home, Game 7, they've got it in their back pocket. They're going to be laying 9.5 then. They'd like to win in Indiana. It's going to be a frenzied environment. Indiana's all-in situation. I think Indy's going to win the game outright. So Indy +5 is the bet to make Game 6.
Love it. I think most people agree with that. So here's a question, though. I don't often do this, Steve. Not that I'm interrupting the show, but I don't often interject with an email question, but it's NBA Finals specific. So I'll allow it. And Peter in Cincinnati took advantage of one of our sponsors, which was very smart, so that he goes to the top of the list because this question's only viable on today's episode. All right. Now, I should note, Steve, I saw this email yesterday morning, but we record the show on Tuesdays, so there's nothing I could do. He said, I laid 600 to win 200. A minus 300 bet on OKC to win this series in 6 or less games, Steve. OKC 6 or less games. In retrospect, I got a little greedy and outbet my bankroll. Is there a path I can take to hedge a bit and try to recover, protect the $600 invested? I really wondered about this prior to OKC winning Game 4. Now I am very much alive, but wondering if there's a creative way to protect myself from a Game 7. Thanks for any thoughts, Peter in Cincinnati.
So Peter's either going to win 200 or lose 600. So he's got an $800 swing. All right. Now, the obvious way to protect it is boom, go to the money line, go ahead and play Indiana Game 6 plus 170 because Oklahoma City's not going to win in 6 if Indiana wins Game 6. The greedy way, and I think the optimal way, let's win both. Let's bet Indiana plus 5. And that way, when Oklahoma City steals the game in overtime by 2, you scoop. You win everything. I prefer plus 5 to plus 170 anyways. It doesn't completely hedge it like a money line would where you'd be indifferent to the results. But I'd bet 440, Peter, to win 400 on Indiana, plus the 5, and just root for a close game.
What, Steve, give me the math. Why do you like plus 5 over minus 170?
There's a chart, the Captain Jack and his guys at Unabated will show you which bet is superior. And I just know, having done this a long time, that playing a plus 5 is superior to plus 170. And also my gut says it's going to be a close game.
Got it. Wow. So he could, and why did you say minus 440 to win for it? Because that's in the middle of the 800 swing?
Yeah, he's either going to win 200 or lose 600. So it's an $800 swing. So this bet will have an $800 swing, $840 swing, 440 to win 400 on the plus 5.
Got it. All right. That's cool. I love that. I love when it's a very relevant question that we're talking about. All right. What about, Steve, the NHL Game 6? I know you have some thoughts on this.
Yeah. So I patiently sat back and waited while over after over after over, Draisaitl overtime, 4-3. It's been a great playoff. We have had 5 straight overs. You know what? Game 6s and 7s, and I know, and we've talked about it, Ross, about how high scoring these NHL playoffs have been. It's time. It's time to fade the overs. Who knows how good the ice conditions will be in Florida tonight? I'm going under the 6.5.
Ooh, even with the way the Panthers have been playing.
It's, you know what? They oftentimes say some of the best bets can be some of the most difficult bets, to take your finger and actually submit the bet down, because obviously if you've been watching these games, both these teams can score and they can score quickly, but 6.5 is a sky high total for just any playoff game. Even a regular season game, it's a high total, and this game's so important. Wouldn't surprise me at all if and remember, last game, it was 2-0 going into the third period, and then all heck broke loose. That could happen again. I like the under.
You know, question for you, Steve. I thought that like when a trend is going away like this, like 5 in a row have been over, I thought you ride that trend until proven otherwise. This applies to any sport, any bet, anything in life, that when there's something's on a roll like this, when do you fade it, or do you just keep riding it until it evaporates?
It all depends. Example, in college football, if you get a team like Coastal Carolina or a college basketball team, like remember that Loyola team that made the Final Four, if they cover 8 in a row, they're probably just undervalued, and don't bet against them. But tried and true formula, going back to the NBA playoffs, you get an over, and then you get another over, and now it's game 3, and no one can stop anyone, and they're scoring like crazy. Just bet under. You'll make money. The markets overreact to high scoring in the playoffs. I'm not a hockey expert, but I can tell you that works again and again in the playoffs, and it's worked in this Oklahoma City, Indiana NBA Finals also.
Got it. All right. Before we get to anything else, I'm just looking at your notes that you texted me. Wow, NHL 3 stars on that's a 3-unit bet, Steve?
Yeah, you don't have to buy that best bet that I have up for sale at pregame. I only sell at pregame. I don't have my own website. If you're buying something from stevefezzik.com or stevefezzik.anything, that's not me. You've been scammed. So be careful.
Yeah, that I've gotten emails. I've had friends that have done that. It's only pregame.com and it's only at Fezzik Sports. He doesn't have stevefezzik.com and he's not at real Steve Fezzik. All right. So we got the NHL bets. What about MLB? Because I know you've been rolling on the MLB bets. We know all about Oakland, the Athletic. We know all about these terrible teams like the Rockies. What about any other bets you really like?
Yeah, let's fade 3 mediocre teams. We'll start with your home team, Ross. Paul Skeens, the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's tremendous.
Whoa. I'm a Phillies guy.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'm Phillies. I'm not Pittsburgh.
Good. Dysfunctional organization. You don't work for Pittsburgh in any way, shape, or form. Pirates. Good. Because the Pirates are terrible. They've got a great pitcher in Skeens that they're wasting. And who knows how many innings he'll get come September. Pirates can't hit at all. Under 67.5 for a bad Pirate team that's still being anchored to their preseason expectation of winning 76.5 games. They're not going to come close. 2 more similar handicap. Teams that just can't hit. Cleveland, under 81.5. Kansas City, under 79.5. By the way, I've looked at the schedules on all 3 of these teams. And Ross, all 3 of those teams are about to run the gauntlet. Remember the Clint Eastwood movie, The Gauntlet? Where he's riding the bus and they're just shooting at him like crazy. He's trying to bring someone to a courthouse to testify against a senator. Well, these teams are going to face the gauntlet here the rest of June, and they're going to get crushed.
More great stuff right after this. There was a lot of Smirnoff being drunk over the weekend, whether it was the first couple days of the weekend at the Jersey Shore, and then Sunday at the U.S. Open. They had an open bar. That was lovely. Smirnoff is the world's #1 vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL, official vodka partner of this show, which says a lot about a lot. Grab a bottle of Smirnoff at your local retailer. Head over to Smirnoff.com. They got all kinds of recipes for delicious cocktails that you've never even heard of before. Perfect for game day, perfect for any weekend, any day, I don't care. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. The Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please not share with anyone under legal drinking age. Okay, so there you have it. A lot of bets already from Steve. I might go ahead and do this again at the end of the show, but he likes... in the NBA, he likes Indy +5, and that was his advice for the guy that has the OKC in 6. He likes the under in Game 6 tonight in the NHL Stanley Cup Final, and then he likes the under on the Cleveland Guardians, Kansas City Royals, Pittsburgh Pirates, which is great. All right, 2 tournaments to get to, Steve, before we get to your NFL bets. 2 tournaments, okay? One is World Series of Poker. You were in that?
Well, there's 50 events, all right? So everyone knows about the main event, the one Chris Moneymaker and Jamie Gold won, and Stewie Unger won 3 times. But there's an event, there are multiple events each and every day. And there are 2 events I try to play in every year. I've cashed multiple times in these events. There's the seniors, 50 plus, and the super seniors, 60 plus. And they're the softest fields you will ever see because the old guys can't play. So I'm playing with all these 50-year-old fossils. Of course, the irony is they're younger than I am. And the field's weak, $1,000 buy-in. Played like 8 hours. Finally, I busted. I raced ace king against queens pre-flop. So I didn't get it done, and I'm out. But, I feel bad for how difficult it is for these poker pros. Because I invested 8 hours of playing down at the Horseshoe in mid-strip. It's hard, Ross. I mean, you think about how much of an edge can you really have, even if you have like a 30% edge. The house is raking 10%. So if I had a 30% edge, $1,000 buy-in, that's $300. Divide by the number of hours on average, I'm going to be down there 10 hours. Ross, I'm making $30 an hour, and that's with optimistic assumptions. I don't know how these guys do it.
Wow. Are a lot of them pros? Like they're professional poker players?
The whole gamut. There's like now the pros are usually playing the 5, the 3,000, the 10,000, and even higher buy-ins. The $1,000 buy-ins is a mixture of some pros that are running a little bad and they want to go ahead and take a little less risk, and the dentist from Omaha and the guy that's just used to playing with his buddies, in Memphis. It comes out to Vegas for 3 or 4 days.
Wow. That's so interesting. And then you also were texting me that you won that basketball invitational?
Yeah, it's the Killer Sports, Vegas Sports and Information VEASAN NBA Challenge. So had a field of 15 people, some real sharp guys, including Carl Sack, Aaron Renning, 2 of the best NBA handicappers in the world. But you know what? These handicapping contests, and I've been doubted for 25 years. You don't know this, Ross. Like, I came out and talked in like 2002 about how these sports betting contests and tournaments are a huge overlay, and what an edge I had. And I thought I had like 100% ROI in a lot of these tournaments, much higher than a poker tournament.
What do you mean huge overlay?
Meaning for every $100 I would invest, I'd expect to get $200 back. And I was roundly criticized, like, I don't even know if you have an edge, Steve. That's crazy. You think you're going to get back 100% ROI long-term in all these sports tournaments? And then I won 5 of them over a 3-year period, and then people stopped, disagreeing with me. But now people are still questioning me. Like I got guys coming in saying, "Oh, he's dead money. He's Fezzik. He's too old." So I was in this contest with all these experts, and I caught some breaks, but I did win it. And so that was rather gratifying. And I donated my $3,000 first prize to the Circa room attendants. And that was cool.
That is so cool. I didn't know you were that good at the NBA.
I'm not, but I'm really good in sports betting contests. There's a difference.
Why? Tell me.
Little things. I never submit my plays until an hour before post if I can, which was allowed in this contest. I never make a play on a game I like unless I get at least a fair number, if not a favorable number. Example, let's say I love Indiana game 6 +5. The contest for that game might be +4. And I wouldn't play them if it was +4. And people would be like, "That's crazy. You said you love Indiana." And I said, "No, I said I love Indiana +5.
Got it. All right. So every week we're also going to have some NFL bets, Steve. Last week, we talked about some of your bets for week 1 and week 2. So now this week, we'll dive into some of your week 3 NFL bets. Give me 1 or 2 games when you look at it for whatever reason. Maybe it's the rest disparity from Warren Sharp. Maybe it's information you already know from Sports Injury Central, SixScore.com, because it's still early in the season. What do you like on DraftKings week 3 NFL?
Yeah, so the Warren Sharp rest disparities aren't going to help me much weeks 1 through 6. I really like betting them the back end of the schedule. Most of this is just power ratings and numbers I think are off. Week 3, Houston, -120. Pick them -120 at Jacksonville. This number's just wrong, Ross. I mean, Houston's supposed to win 9.5 games. I agree with that. Jacksonville's supposed to win 7.5 games. Houston's not just better, they're much better. Jacksonville has a minimum home field advantage. You could talk me even all the way up to Houston should be a 3-point favorite in this game. I'm going to lay -120 Houston.
Got it. What is that? Do you have a sheet for what you believe the home field advantage to be for every team?
Yes, my default is like 1.75, 1.5 to 2. And then there's certain teams like Jacksonville where it's much closer to 1.25. In LA, 1.25. The highest home fields tend to be Seattle. has a real good one. Minnesota, when they're a good team, very high home field advantage. So varies by team. Green Bay, real strange, their playing surface. I wanted to ask you as a former player, do you ever notice that when you played in Green Bay, that it was just the grass was slick and the defenders were having trouble getting around you?
I don't remember it being slick. I remember it being incredible, like beautifully manicured. The whole crowd's out there for pregame warmups like an hour before the game. It's the only place where like more than half the people are in the stands during pregame warmups. It's wild.
I would think they'd be doing all the other recreational things that Green Bay avails them to, but I guess
I think that they do. I think they have since 5:00 in the morning.
I'm kidding.
So by the time there's players on the field, they want to watch pregame warmups. They want to watch the punter. I mean, they cheer for the punters when they come out and the kickers. It's pretty incredible. All right, do you have another one? By the way, what happened to home field advantage? Didn't it always used to be 3 points?
Yeah. It eroded. Part of the theory is that the referees used to be more homers, that they were impacted by the crowd noise and the like, and so they'd give favorable calls to the home team. With instant replay, that obviously hurt that, and I just think the refs have done a much better job of being unbiased and fair.
Really? So it has to do with that and not teams having a better ability to perform on the road.
Oh, the travel has massively improved. I mean, they this. They treat these players like rock stars now in terms of, the ease of travel and the luxury of it, right?
All right, so what's the other NFL bet?
All right, we are going to go to Seattle. We just talked about Seattle having one of the biggest home field edges in the NFL. They're hosting New Orleans. Going to play Seattle -6.5. Now, there's a comp that shows why this is such a good bet. NFL Week 1. New Orleans, their season win number is free-falling. Everyone is betting against the Saints. So Arizona, which is kind of a comparable team to Seattle, is laying 6 in New Orleans. So if you've got a team laying 6 at New Orleans, how in the heck can New Orleans, when they go on the road to a comparable team with a huge home field advantage, that spread can't be close to 6. It's got to be 7 or 7.5. We're going to get to this before it goes higher. Seattle hosting the Saints -6.5.
Don't go anywhere. Got to pay some bills real quick. I had a heck of a weekend, and if you saw, I was drinking some Labatt Blue Light Lime at the beach. And with Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, just head to the website, snap a photo of your receipt, snap a photo of your beer too, and send it to me on social media. Upload it instantly to rack up points for exclusive merch. You can get points for every purchase at any store, bar, or stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you're buying Labatt. I love this promotion. Buy beer, get gear. Go to rewards.labattusa.com to sign up. Got it. Love it. 2 bets this week for Steve on the NFL side. Let's get to another email question because I love it. I feel like we get this question a lot. Maybe we already got this one. I don't know. Did we get a question last week from Reginaldo Hernandez talking about, or what about this Wong teaser? Well, maybe we did it. We'll do it again. So many of the questions are about Wong teasers and the numbers, but that's okay. We got different listeners every week. This is from Mike. I'm still wet behind the ear. By the way, take advantage of any of the sponsors or just rate and review the show. And that counts if you forward me the screenshot, ross@rosstucker.com. Love the show, gentlemen. I'm still wet behind the ears when it comes to betting, learning so much from Even Money. First question, in regards to Wong teasers, I can only get -130 at the online book I've been using, but I've been doing quite well. Oh, you said this last week, why you can only do -120, right?
Yeah, you need 6-point teaser, has to be -120, cannot win if it's more than -120. Also, a tie can't lose. Check the rules at your book if it's a tie. And what the curious thing is, there are some books that are affiliated in different states and their rules are different by state, which is crazy to me. But it has to be, if you have a tie in a game, then that teaser doesn't automatically lose, and it has to be at -120.
Second question, NFL futures, Super Bowl winner. Hypothetical. Would you rather lay $20, Steve, on one team to win it all, or laid $5 on the 4 teams he thinks are most likely to win it? As long as one of those 4 teams wins, I'm looking at a net gain of over 50%. Good or bad strategy. So he wants to bet $5 on 4 teams to win the Super Bowl rather than $20 on one team, Steve.
Both are bad strategies because I don't have an overlay on any teams, all right? The house takes such a big cut. We talk about these needle in the haystack bets and how difficult they are to win. So I wouldn't make any bets, but if you had to, put $20 on your very favorite. You might find a team. I did this. I bet the Eagles plus 750 to win it all, but you're not
this year?
This year. But,
to repeat?
Yes.
Wow, when did you do that?
4 months ago, yes.
Okay.
But you're not going to find 4 good bets simultaneously when the overall aggregate of all the teams, you're playing at like a 30% disadvantage. So I wouldn't bet any of them. But if you want to put some chips on the roulette wheel and have fun, that's fine. If you want to take it and put it on 4 different numbers, 4 different teams. But I would just take what you think is the best bet and put it on one team.
Check him out on social media at Fezzik Sports. NBA and NHL will both be done by next week, but we've got some exciting guests coming up, and we'll have some Week 4 NFL bets and more of your questions, so keep sending them. Ross at rosstucker.com. Good luck, everybody. Hope you guys win some money.
Thanks for tuning in to Even Money. Make sure to also check out the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.